if we go to section 15, okay? Now, we've got these labels in front of us, and if you pick a scribe or some, do the writing. So, right, we're going to do these. We're going to say, we know this material, we know it's right. So we're going to look at the second line, and it says the HMIS codes, and it says health. So if you look at health, it's at the top here. Health hazard. And it says number, what's the number by the side? Number 1. So if you write number 1 on there, you can write it on both sides if you want, on the 2 labels. Okay? All right, that's one thing. But first of all, I'm skipping ahead of myself. What you have to do first is, right on the top label where it says substance identity, write cast off. So just print cast off above where it says health hazard. So then we know what the material is. Okay? And we know now, we've looked at section 15, line 2, and we know that the health hazard is 1. Okay? Now if we look at the next one, flammability, in parentheses it's got the number 2. So like we said earlier, even though it's the flash point's 140, which is not pretty good, it still needs to be treated with care. Okay, so we don't want to be around flames and everything on that. And then if you have a look at the next one along, reactivity or instability hazard, which is the same thing, okay, then you've got the number 0. So number 1 means there's a slight hazard. Number 2 for flammability means there's a moderate hazard. And then the 0 means there's minimal hazard. So that's pretty much, we got that filled in. Now, the PPE is the section now, I'm glad you asked that one, right. On these what we have here, we're going to write underneath where it's got the numbers for that, because we will end up buying them with a new block in there for PPE. Okay, so it's slightly different, but we're going to see, if you write underneath PPE on there, right, what it says on PPE, it comes up with the letter B, okay? And what the letter B says here, when you go to the MSDS units, we have these color code and bound identification system. And if you look down here, this is the personal protective equipment, PPE. It says on the MSDS that it is a B. What B says here, as a minimum protection, you have to have safety glasses and gloves. So if you put safety glasses and gloves, or just put SG and G on that section down there, will you? Say SG and G. No, it's not on that one there, it's on here. This is right on the MSDS. Yeah, that's so B is glasses and gloves. So that's the minimum. Okay. So what I would do now is rip that label off. I'll rip one of those labels off and put it on the big cap if you would. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, just put that on that one first. Okay. But now what? We got that one? So now we know exactly. Now we know exactly what is in our lounge container. If it wasn't already labeled, we've gone through that. Okay. So that's good. So that's a good start. Now we come along and we say, all right, I'm going to perform a task with the same material somewhere else. And I want to take a small canister similar to this. Yeah, attach it over there would be good. Thanks. That's great. Okay. So now we're going to fill this up, and we're going to take this container and use it somewhere else. Like we said earlier, if we do that, this container must be labeled. A question was asked in the first meeting this morning, and the question was a good question. It said, why do we have to label this if we're only putting a small amount of this material in? Because it's the same material, exactly. And the example I gave was that OSHA come on site one day, and somebody had a release agent that was white in color, and they took it out of the 55-gallon drum and they put it into a Pepsi bottle. They take the Pepsi bottle and they throw it over the pad they're trying to put the release on, brush it all in, put the top on a Pepsi bottle, put it on the side. OSHA inspector comes in. He said, what's in that white substance in that bottle? I said, I think it's milk. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say I'd go to jail if I said that. I said, I don't know. And I didn't. And violation. And he actually said to me, he said, the violation is not the fact it's in a Pepsi bottle, even though that may not be right, you should use a proper container. He said, it's not labeled. He said, you could have escaped with a non-serious warning if you had just had it labeled. So it's so crucial that we label that plant. So that was just a quick instance there. So what I want you guys to do now is take out a 55-gallon drum, take the lid off, and pour half, fill this halfway up with the other can. Now be careful with this liquid. This liquid is nasty. Oscar, they let me do all this, man. I'm telling you, man. I wouldn't stand for it. I don't check out too much. All right.
Just halfway. I mean, you don't have to go all the way up.
All right. Has anybody spilled any of that liquid? That's 50 cents a milliliter, so come on, we gotta watch it. Yeah. All right, guys. Now, what have we got to do to the small canister, the small container? We got to label it identical to this one. Okay? So let's do that, and let's put it on there the same way. Okay. All right, so we got everything labeled up on there. Okay, so that's good. That's great. So we know now that whatever was in here is in here. So if I take this anywhere on site, I know what's in there. So that's great. Now, like I said, I challenge everybody when we leave here today. I know this was a straightforward, simple exercise, but it was just practical. I challenge you to look at everything that we do on site. Because we have to get up to date with this and look at everything that we're supposed to be labeling, look at the MSDSs. Challenge yourself, see if you can find, pick any substance you want, any material, go and find the MSDS for it. And let's have a look at how we're doing, because we need your involvement, because we've got 439 different materials. Now, any questions on that?
What about the wood?
Huh? Now the wood, yeah, that's it. The wood you got to label. It's got to be labeled with what's in there.
Anytime you put it in another container.
It has to be labeled. Now, the thing is, somebody's using paint, huh? Yeah, or a small one, you can use these. I chose not to use these because I can't see them, but I'm here.
But it's perfectly acceptable.
But it's perfectly acceptable. If you have a label like this, and sometimes you even have to tag items because you get paint dripping over it and everything else. But when you leave it and you start using it, make sure that the label is still good. So the glue has to be labeled. It's not good enough. Now, some people use color code systems, Chris, as long as they have a standard that relates back in perfect view of somebody about a color code, that could be acceptable. But it's not, usually this is the best way to go.
But we have to use what Smith-Midland accepts, right?
HMIS is good for us. If we were going to come up with a different variation of that standard, then we'd have to write that in and everything else. But for now, this is what we use. Chris, any?
One thing, if you guys, he was talking about the Pepsi bottle. When it's a milky substance, that's pretty easy to see that that's not Pepsi.
Yeah, it's true if it's clean.
But a lot of the stuff that we use is similar colors to the, soda or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
And so the hazard is there that the potential comes that somebody may try to take a drink of something that isn't properly labeled.
It's pretty frightening thought, actually, isn't it, when you think of it?
I think if we stop that, we gotta talk to everybody, like using that kind of model,
Yeah, that's right. It's something that from supervisor and all of us, we have to be aware of this. And that's why I challenge everybody here, because it's such a big theme. And we are slightly behind in the labeling from what I see. We got, one thing we're gonna do is we work with purchasing and make sure that we get visible signs. When it comes in, we're going to have a system whereby, again, receiving, whoever receives, that's where we check the label. If it's not on the container, we should label it. And it's a system that we have to get into. And initially it's going to be pretty big, but it will become routine and it won't be too bad. But I really do challenge you to site, which kind